Okay, we're back, and I'm going to continue with my story. Maybe you guys can stand to sit through another 15 minutes of story. This is kind of a long story, it does a lot to it. On the third day, I was walking along the beach with Beth because it had become windy and was not really great for diving. And we walk along the beach, and I see a young man carrying a little girl out of the water, and she's obviously unconscious and had drowned. My father insisted on me becoming a lifeguard right after I took my scuba course, so that I could, do like he done, which I had seen him do several times, rescue people with CPR and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He brought him around when even the whole time I was growing up. He rescued several people. Well, the young man brought the girl out, and we put her down in the shade of a coconut palm in the sand, and I started CPR and mouth to mouth. And I was not too optimistic because her eyes had already rolled back in her head, and she was limp as a dish rag and did not look good, and had lost color, and you can tell when somebody's basically passed away. And but my father made sure that when you started this, you understood that you could not quit CPR mouth to mouth till a authorized medical person relieved you and concluded that it was not going to work, it was hopeless. But basically there was only a nurse at a clinic on the island, and they had been called, but it would be a while till we got there. So for about 20 minutes, I did CPR and mouth to mouth on this little girl. And to the shock and miracle of everyone, she came around, and her eyes opened, and she spit up some salt water and looked in my eyes, and you could see that she knew that she had passed away. In her face, you could tell it. It's really kind of scary when you look in their eyes and they know, and you just brought them back around. It's a really interesting thing. So the thing with children is that you have got to monitor them at night when they go to sleep after an incident like this. They often go to sleep and don't wake up. So you have got to sit there and monitor them. So a pickup truck arrived, and we put her in the pickup truck, and we went to the clinic where she laid down in the clinic, and we hooked her up to a heart monitor and all this stuff. And I sat there and held her hand because she didn't want to let go of me pretty much all night. Beth came over also with some dinner, and we ate, and she ate a little bit. Her name was Janice. She ate a little bit, and we both sat there all night with her to make sure that she didn't pass away again, which would have been really sad. So we sat there all night. The next morning, she was looking really good and in good shape and in good spirits and everything. And I asked her what happened. She said, well, she went out a little too far, although she could swim. She went out a little too far, and the waves got her, and she hit her head on the bottom when the wave hit her and rolled her around. And then they found her floating. Basically, she'd been in the water a while, and the young fellow who pulled her out brought her up to the beach. His name was James. So as I was doing mouth-to-mouth and CPR, kind of a small crowd gathered from the beach, 10 or 15 people. And they all had not seen that before. Even in the States, it's kind of rare to see somebody perform CPR and mouth-to-mouth on somebody who's drowned. So even in the United States, it wasn't common even then. But they were really, some of them were kind of spooked, some of them were kind of overjoyed, But they started saying things like, Obi-Mon, Obi-Mon, and I didn't really know what that meant. I looked it up later, but that was like witch doctor, magic doctor kind of thing, Obi-Mon. So I became the Obi-Mon on the island. And after that, everybody on the island changed their tune about me. Before that, I was just a tourist that didn't, who cares, But after that, it was free beer, free Jamaican meat pies, flowers. Little girls colored and drawing me pictures of Janice. She drew pictures with her little crayons and brought them to me, and she sat at the dinner table with me every night, and it was quite a lot of fun because, well, in the short time that I was there, in the 2 days, I had eliminated the biggest, basically asshole on the island, the drug smuggler, and his two idiot cohorts, and rescued a child who was well liked. So I was invited to everybody's home for dinners and for any kind of function of any kind that I didn't have a lot of money, but what little I had, I couldn't spend it because they wouldn't let me. They would buy me anything I wanted, or it was free, or beer, and I played little poker cards. They in the evenings, and sit on the beach and enjoy the breeze. So that was a pretty nice night. So the next day, more diving, and we did a little more fanning and digging around the wreck site, and we found some coins and some other artifacts and things. And most of the time, when you find that stuff, it's covered in a kind of almost a cement-like coral dirt, sandy conglomerate, and you have to kind of chip it apart to see what you've actually found. Sometimes you can look at it and tell that you found an old musket, riot pistol, or a sword handle, or nails, just nails and spikes that held the ship together will attract that kind of stuff. And so then we carried all that back to the beach and took a little hammer and busted it all open and found that we had found some coins. And at first, what I thought was just a piece of broken glass from a Heineken bottle, because it was green and it just looked like a broken piece of glass that had been tumbled around in the sand and the sharp edges worn off of it, And I didn't think much of it, and I put it in an ashtray on the reception desk of the resort and just threw it in there. Next time we went diving, we'd go back out to the wreck again, and we'd find some more things. And then I found a few more of these little green, I thought were glass, so I threw them in the ashtray at the resort desk. Nobody else thought anything of them either, so they left them right there. And then on the 4th or 5th day, we went out to a small patch reef and collected some conchs to make conch fritters and conch salad, and they're big on eating conch there. And Miss Elizabeth said we were going to have a very, very good dinner tonight, and really, really excellent, and we're all going to love it. And it turned out to be turtle, which, that was before turtles were a protected species, and I hate to admit it, but it was delicious and it was really good. But I haven't eaten any turtle since then, or ever before that, and they became a protected species. So and we enjoyed our dinner that time, and I was talking to Beth there, and she made it very clear in no uncertain terms that she had no interest in romance whatsoever. She was going back to college, and she was engaged to an Englishman, and they were going to get married and move back to Grand Cayman and live, because that's her plan, and I wasn't going to interfere with that, because I had been real sweet talking and all kind of stuff, like any 18-year-old man would do, and try to get a young lady interested, So she made it very clear, and I said, okay, that's fine. I got to go back to Florida too, which I had no job for anyway. So we had some more news about our drug smuggler buddy. He was recovering slowly. His concussion was mild, but he did have a broken collarbone. So it was going to be a long while till he darkened our doorsteps anymore. So everybody was happy about that. And I come to find out that the reason the guy was there is that all of the locals on the island of Cayman Brac were what my father called mercenary farmers. Okay, they grew weed, they grew marijuana. Okay, on the island of Little Cayman, the entire island of Little Cayman was weed, and every year they harvested, and evidently there was something about the salt air and the very dry climate that made the weed particularly popular. So they would harvest the weed and take it by boat to Grand Cayman, where it got distributed to who knows where. Everybody on the island of Cayman Brac got a cut. That was their cash perk for the season. You know, they got a cut of the profits. And it was a lot of work because it was really sandy over there, and really had to mostly haul all the fresh water into there to water the darn things. But it was really popular, really sought after, and they've been doing it for years. And that's where this smuggler in the white suit came in, which later came to feel like his name was Hector. He had robbed them the previous year. They gathered, harvested their weed, compacted it in a Sears Kenmore trash compactor into little squares, and took it to Grand Cayman. And then they had got paid, and he robbed them of their cash at gunpoint, and then defied them and basically told them, you know, if you're ever going to do it again, nothing you could do about it. So he wasn't real popular, obviously, and I'm gonna end it here, okay? And we'll pick it up again next time. Thanks a lot for watching. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.